Today's conversation was inspired by the works of Emmet and Lester Levenson. So we discussed in Sunday's video, which I'll link to in the description, I am bliss, Satchit Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss, being still and knowing that I am. It is true nature. As in, you are still now. As you can witness thoughts, you can witness emotions, thus you transcend them. And that is what the 7-day mental and emotional diet that I've put together here brings us to the realization of. Through stillness, you can witness clearly what you're thinking and what you are relating to emotions. And you can choose accordingly. You can choose to think, and you could choose consciously what to emotionally relate to experiences. Emmet said, "This then is the real key to life. If you change your mind, your conditions must change too. Your body must change. Your daily work or other activities must change. Your home must change. The color tone of your whole life must change for whether you be habitually happy and cheerful or low-spirited and fearful depends entirely on the quality of the mental food upon which you diet yourself." Please be very clear about this. If you change your mind, your conditions must change too. We are transformed by the renewing of our minds, as stated in Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Reminds me of Matthew 6:8. For the Father knows before you ask the Father. So the way I relate to this is, I realize that I am bliss, happiness, peace, love, fulfilled through the 7-day mental and emotional diet. So we can choose the subject of our thinking at any given time and also choose the emotional tone, or what we call the mood that colors it. Yes, you can choose your moods. If you could not, you would have no real control over your life at all. There can be individuals that think that they are at the effect of their thinking. As in, they believe that they have no ability to, or very little control of their ability to think clearly from the premise of truth, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, and relate accordingly to the outer appearances of life. What is actually occurring is they are identified to untrue beliefs, which result in thinking untrue thoughts as a result of the identification to the untrue beliefs. There are individuals that believe that they can only think based on their emotions, which is untrue, as emotions are energy in motion. It is the individual that is assigning beliefs, suggesting what the emotions mean to them. Perfect example, I used to teach these speed reading workshops, and I started teaching them back in 2010. On the days leading up to the workshops, where I would teach them on Saturdays and Sundays, I would experience what I would label as emotions of anxiety. Upon releasing identification to the beliefs that resulted in emotions being experienced that way, I experienced ecstasy days leading up to the workshops. Isn't that interesting? Through one way of relating to the emotions, I experienced what I call anxiety leading up to the workshops. Through another way of relating to the emotions, I experienced ecstasy leading up to the workshops. This is the ability that you have, as you and I are no different. Truly, you and I exist beyond identification to thoughts, emotions, behaviors, world, and can choose via our thinking what we relate to appearances, the appearances of emotions, the appearances of the physical world, by our thinking, and then experience life accordingly. He says, if you persevere, you will find that it will become rapidly easier. This is true. The practice, which we'll get into in a moment, becomes easier and easier. And he says, and it is actually the most interesting experiment that you could possibly make. You will be amazed at the interesting things that you will learn about yourself. And you will get results almost from the beginning. Could be right from the beginning, now, as now is where all the power is. And so the individual is assigning the power to appear the way they think it appears. From my example, either anxiety or ecstasy or whatever else they choose to label, to the energy in motion. So the 7-day mental and emotional diet requires commitment. As he says, make up your mind to devote 1 week solely to the task of building the new habit. And during that week, let everything in life be unimportant as compared with it. I consider the 7-day mental and emotional diet to not be a tactical thing, but rather a way of life. A 7-day commitment starts off this way of life. And as you remain committed to this, practicing this, it becomes easier and easier, and then you will find that it happens automatically. From the foundation of bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, the individual may see clearly what they're thinking and what they are relating to emotions, and thus experience life accordingly. From the premise of truth, no longer identified with untrue beliefs. Untrue beliefs, by that I mean, not from the premise of love, not from the premise of peace, not from the premise of happiness, not from the premise of bliss, not from the premise of fulfillment. Untrue beliefs. I call them false prophets, false gods, false idols. The individual may be worshiping these beliefs and relating to life, people, environment, circumstance, information in accordance to these beliefs, which are untrue, generating illusions, persisting in these illusions. So, He says, if you will do so, as in commit to this week, then that week will be the most significant week in your whole life. It will literally be the turning point for you. For if you will do so, it is safe to say that your whole life will change for the better. In fact, nothing can possibly remain the same. This does not simply mean that you'll be able to face your present difficulties in a better spirit. It means that the difficulties will go. A bold statement that he makes, which I agree with. They disappear. They, we could say, appear to disappear. He says this is the scientific way to alter your life, and being in accordance with the great law, it cannot fail. See, you are bliss, love, happiness, peace, fulfillment. And the Father knows before you ask, Matthew 6:8. All we do is not conform to the patterns of the world, and by that it means identification to the untrue beliefs, which I refer to as false idols, false prophets, false gods. Do not conform, but be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Then you'll be able to prove that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. It appears more so in increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive, appearing in and as harmonious relationships, wonderful business, wonderful life experiences. As he says, this is the scientific way to alter your life, and being in accordance with the great law, it cannot fail. You truly are bliss. You truly are love, happiness. So all we're doing here through the 7-day mental and emotional diet is releasing the identification, to the false identity construct, which is made up of untrue beliefs, resulting as the outer appearances of life being ideal from the premise of the true image of the Creator, bliss. He says, now, do you realize that by working in this way, you do not have to change conditions? The conditions change spontaneously. So we could do it by releasing. Let's talk about it from the perspective of thinking and emotions. Thinking and emotions, both, relating them together. And why do I relate them together? Well, we may find a cyclical relationship to thoughts and emotions. And by that I mean, some individuals feel so identified with the labels that they have to their emotions that they can benefit from releasing the emotions, which results in their thoughts appearing ideally from the premise of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Some individuals find it easier to be aware of what they think, and they can choose to no longer identify with the untrue thinking, which spawns from the untrue beliefs, thus releasing identification to the untrue beliefs. An individual may find that thinking in a particular way results in emotional relatability in a particular way, such as the example that I gave. Some individuals may find that if they choose to emotionally relate in a particular way, that they will also think thoughts more so of that particular way. And this can be also experienced cyclical. Thoughts and emotions can be experienced as a feedback loop. One thought can lead to a corresponding emotion. Another perpetuating a cycle of that way of thinking and emotionally relating. For example, if the individual starts the day with a stressful thought about an upcoming task, it can lead to emotions being experienced as stress. This identification to this stress can then lead to more thinking from these beliefs that result in these thoughts of stress, creating what appears as a recurrence of stress. So that is where the 7-day mental and emotional diet comes in. We can apply it to both thoughts and emotions. Let's talk about how. So in relation to thoughts, if an untrue thought appears in mind, we can immediately turn it out and think of something else, or witness the thought without identifying with it, and it disappears. So, an example he gives, what of the ordinary troubles that you will have to meet in the office or at home? The answer is that such things will not affect your diet, provided that you do not accept them by giving them any power at all. So, thinking in relation to these appearances, the individual is assigning meaning to these appearances. Being aware of, I am aware of what I relate to appearances. I know certainly if it's from the premise of truth, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. If not, let the thought be. And you may notice then what you emotionally relate to what follows changes, and also what follows changes as well. And this is a practice which becomes easier and easier as these thoughts arise that are not from the premise of truth. Do not identify with them. And so this is what we do as a practice for 7 days. And as mentioned, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And the fundamental reason why it becomes easier is as these thoughts are no longer identified with, so do the untrue beliefs that spawn these untrue thoughts dissolve, and the subconscious mind is purified from these untrue beliefs. So alongside a mental diet based on pure observation of thought, I encourage an emotional diet for 7 days alongside, from the foundation of pure observation to emotions. This releases the emotions. This lets the emotions be without labeling the emotions as problematic, so that what happens is the individual forms a harmonious relationship with emotions, just as they are forming a harmonious relationship with thoughts, realizing that as they transcend thoughts and transcend emotions, they can choose how to emotionally relate accordingly and how to think accordingly, which is powerful. Emotions may be transmuted. We speak a lot about transmutation. You may transmute one emotion into another, just as I did with understanding that it was I that was labeling the emotion to be experienced a particular way. And just as I can choose to experience that emotion in a way where I could call it anxiety, I could choose to experience that energy in motion as excitement or ecstasy. So this is how we apply it for 7 days. If strong emotions arise, acknowledge that emotion. Allow the emotion to arise without labeling it. Remain with the emotion without labeling it as problematic, and allow it to be. Let it pass without trying to alter it. As mentioned, you can relate to it differently. That's transmutation. What is being discussed here specifically for the 7-day mental and emotional diet is to not label it. The purpose of the 7-day mental and emotional diet is to develop a harmonious relationship with thoughts and emotions. As a result of developing a harmonious relationship with thoughts and emotions, you then can choose consciously what you would like to relate to the energy in motion and outer appearances of life. And as mentioned, by simply releasing identification to the thoughts that are untrue and also the labels to emotions that are untrue, you manifest love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment in and as the outer appearances of life. So we accept the emotion, letting it pass, allowing it to be without resistance. Witnessing the emotion, allowing it to be, allowing it to pass. Any thoughts that arise in relation to the emotion that are untrue, this is where we can relate it over to the thinking aspect. Let those thoughts pass. Allow yourself to experience the energy in motion. What you'll notice is you'll actually start enjoying the experience of allowing the emotions to be. As they released, and no shame, no condemnation in relation to experiencing the emotion, allow the emotions to be. So let's recap. If emotions arise, let them be. Emotions are energy in motion, and the individual may be labeling the emotions to appear in a particular way. Through the practice of releasing the emotions, releasing identification to untrue thinking that the individual associates to the emotions, releasing identification to the untrue thoughts that are not from the premise of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, mind is purified. So another part that I would like to bring up is the 7-day mental and emotional diet is powerful. It can result in appearances changing quite rapidly. Every client that I shared this with experienced rapid, profound shifts in their life, rapidly, as a result of applying the 7-day mental and emotional diet. So consider this then. Through releasing identification, everything is rearranging to appear as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. He mentions this actually in the 7-day mental diet. The remedy, if an individual witnesses these appearances of rapid change, is not to deny that your world is rocking in appearance, but to refuse to take the appearance for the reality. John 7:24, judge not according to appearances, but judge righteous judgment. Allow the world to be, just as you allow the emotions to be, the thoughts to be, and it rearranges, you see, to appear as symbols of true nature: love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You may witness it in relationships, environments, circumstances, information as well. So this is a way of automatically applying the law, because as a result of releasing identification to the untrue beliefs, the world appears to reflect truth: love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion that you may use also while doing the 7-day mental and emotional diet to further encourage it. You can say, I realize that I am bliss, I am love, I am happiness, I am fulfilled, I am prosperity. And thus I can clearly witness what I relate to the outer appearances of life. I allow the emotions to be. As a result, I witness in increasing frequency on a continuous basis that I feel experiential peace, bliss, fulfillment, happiness. I judge not by the rearranging of the appearances, but by righteous judgment that I am bliss, happiness, peace, fulfillment. As I release identification to the untrue, easier and easier as I realize true self and experience true self-expression as the outer appearances of life: ideal harmonious relationships, ideal harmonious environments, ideal harmonious information, in increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.